Imagine this. You're a black, middle-aged registered nurse who's been healthy all her life. One day, you feel something off in your breast and decide to visit your physician for help. You go to the doctor and routinely feel misunderstood and overlooked. You try to request medication to possibly stop the pain, but your doctor denies you of any help and instructs you to go home and get some rest. Over time, you feel weaker and weaker, and the pain in your left breast gets worse and worse until you finally decide to seek help elsewhere. At this visit, you're offered an x-ray and later informed that you have stage 4 breast cancer. After a long talk with your doctor about options and where to go from there, you decide to go forward with treatment for the next year. My cousin, Paula Marie Hodges, died on April 11, 2017, exactly 1 year after she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Due to the ignorance and neglect of her racist white physician, her 2 young sons now have to grow up without their loving mother. My cousin is among the 91% of black women who were turned away by their physician and told that their pain is a part of being a woman. Had that physician valued my cousin's life as her own, perhaps she'd have more time or even still be alive. Within the oppressed black community, black women have always been deemed unworthy and weak. Beginning with the antebellum era from 1794 to 1848, as the ideas of the French School of Hospital Medicine reached the United States, the need for human specimens, black bodies in particular, in medical school became recognized. African Americans, particularly in the South, were used in the medical schools for quote-unquote treatment purposes. This led to an overall fear of mistreatment in both the black and white communities. Not only that, but during the era between 1619 and 1865, enslaved women often experienced legalized sexual and reproductive exploitation. For example, James Marion Sims, also known as the father of modern gynecology, used these enslaved women to perform many reproductive experimental surgeries without proper care and anesthesia to treat many childbirth illnesses. Many physicians at this time, similar to Sims, used these women inappropriately to further their research and perfect procedures for women they deemed worthy. White women. It is important to note that even after the emancipation of slaves in 1865, the black codes restricted black women's labor advancement while Jim Crow laws limited civil rights. For example, in some states like South Carolina, laws regarding rape and healthcare only protected white women. In this absence of legislation, many African American women also experienced public gang rape and genital mutilation, forcing them to have interracial offspring. More often than not, black people were used as lab rats for white physicians. Take the story of Henrietta Lacks, for example. In 1951, Henrietta, at age 29, had a severe hemorrhage after birth and was quote-unquote treated at the hospital. During this treatment, doctors removed her cervix without her permission and she later died. Her tissue cells were then used against her permission for understanding diseases like polio, cancer, HIV, and etc. The systematic racism in healthcare not only affects black women but their families as well. These children who grow from their mothers who receive little to no medical help during birth are likely to grow up with diseases and health issues that could have easily been prevented. The blame, on one hand, can be placed on the mother who hadn't gone out of her way to seek the best help. But is that what America is? Is America a place where we have to push to receive the best health care, something that should be undoubtedly given? The location of the majority of black women plays a key role in health inequities. For example, communities with more people of color are more likely to contain higher levels of air pollution, which ultimately damage the body of those living there. The black woman's life is put at risk even before she enters any medical facility. However, it is the job of the physician to treat the patient just as they would any other. Race shouldn't be a factor that considers whether a person's life matters or not. We hear stories of poor black women, but also those of Serena Williams, the American tennis player who almost died after having a C-section performed on her. Had she not reported problems of her breathing, the legendary tennis player would have not been here with us today. The media portrays her story as an issue of women not speaking up in the medical room. After alerting her nurse of what was happening to her body and requesting immediate help, the nurse insisted that she was fine and that she was confused as her body was simply reacting to the pain medication. To tell a woman that she's confused about what she feels is just as terrible as telling them that they're going through things that they're going through because they're a woman. Serena's story shows that this can happen to anyone, whether they're rich or poor. While Black women with lower incomes suffer more harshly because of this problem, this issue lies solely with the physician. When researching this issue and gaining more knowledge on it, I realized that this problem hasn't been addressed nor rectified. However, this isn't because Black women aren't reporting these issues, but rather that racism is so deeply ingrained in all our systems that some people, Black women especially, aren't aware when they're being discriminated against. Racist white people are no longer showing blatant hatred towards Black people, like forbidding them from entering their practice and excluding them from treatment, but rather denying them of help and pushing their issues to the side and watching them die slowly. These types of discrimination are hard to notice and target, so the issue gets pushed to the side and ignored. In Serena's case, though the nurse told her that she was confused, she could have gotten that instruction from a surgeon and a physician. That's the problem with racism. Sometimes the root is hard to find. Solving this issue, while it may be hard, is imperative and needs to be fixed because Black women's lives are at risk. Though some may argue that this problem only affects a small amount of our population, if not addressed, it can undoubtedly grow into a bigger problem. As a country where the population of Black women is 23.5 million, we're not only letting them down, but their offspring to come. America claims that they're a united country that demands equal representation and equality for all, but there's a clear gap in both aspects when it comes to healthcare. Therefore, as a country, youth, and Black people especially, we must find ways to address biases and fix what goes on in medical rooms as far as communication and data systems. First, physicians must recognize their own racial biases and acknowledge that their upbringing and beliefs may be racist. To do this, we must start at the origin, which is the first day on campus for medical students. By emphasizing the importance of saving everyone's lives may help those grow up in a racist, one-sided homes to learn that all lives matter and not just a few. Not only that, but we need to emphasize movements like the White Coats for Black Lives, which help spread awareness for health disparities and help hold their industry accountable for their actions. Not only do we have to spread awareness to physicians, but also to the Black women who are unaware of this ongoing issue. As mentioned earlier, racism today comes in the most unexpected, unidentifiable forms. It is easy for a physician to reassure their patients that everything is okay and that they've seen it all before. However, CAT scans and blood work never lie. If we enforce women of color to push for data-consumed results that ensure that everything is, in fact, okay, then it's likely more Black women will stay away from diseases and will be attending fewer funerals. Lastly, we need to enforce more young Black women to attend school to become our future nurses and physicians that oversee us as we undergo surgeries and the battles that we may encounter within our bodies. Racism is an ongoing belief that has infiltrated America enough and has shown to not be completely removable. Undoubtedly, I hope to become a physician that can be a trusted eye for all women and genders. Despite how weak Black women are viewed, it is important and prevalent that we get a fair chance just as the next person. People every day are discriminated against for countless ignorant reasons, whether it's their parents and or their religion, and it's about time that stops. Unfortunately, it took a death for me to realize how serious this issue is, though I can somehow be a voice. I hope to be a voice for the Black woman whose OBGYN told her it was 100% okay for her to have a child knowing her life was at risk. A voice for the Black woman who's been sitting in the emergency room slowly dying because the doctors and nurses believe she's going to die anytime soon. A voice for my cousin Paula, who sat for 2 weeks enduring unbearable pain in her left breast, thinking that the pain pills she was subscribed to will surely make the pain go away. Imagine living in a world where even your doctor, the person you should trust the most, is against you.